Hi, let's meditate. We've been talking about this samadhi state of no mind and no self. And I just started to listen to this, and I'd like to share. It's the name Annamalai Swami, and the title is The Thought-Free State Advaita. Let's listen just a little bit.
When you have eradicated all thoughts, except for the thinker themselves, by ceaseless inquiry, or by refusing to give them any attention, the I thought sinks into the heart and surrenders, leaving behind it only an awareness of consciousness.
So, just found that one a few minutes ago. I haven't finished watching. But if you listen to what was discussed about I thought and the eradication, it's just talking about the same thing in simple word. No thinking, no self. So we may practice no thinking, no self, samadhi, right now, as we have been going through that over and over. You may remember recently I was talking about the windchime and listening to it, empty-minded. Or the case of haiku, old poem, frog jumps in, sound of water. I also talked about carrying the bowl full of water quietly moving. When you test those, you see how you may concentrate in the act without thinking. And there's no self. Just no thinking, no mind. I said there are certain depths of that samadhi. So you may be in this no mind, no self state for a while, but then thought may pop up. But you can differentiate the thought as if up in the air, puff of cloud, and your awareness. I use the word Joriki, steady power of being in samadhi that you can cultivate. When you remember, one first thought that popped up in my mind is when I catch trout, I'm not thinking. I remember occasion I caught, and the next moment the fish was in my hand. Or when I was surfing, and you're on the wave, there's no mind. When you have mind start to think, then you're in trouble. Because mind is too slow. I mentioned about the Musashi, swordsmanship. If you think, you may be dead. For that not to happen is required is the determination, dedication. But when you are, say, lecturing or doing your presentation, when you are all prepared, things comes out naturally, as if you're not thinking. Or you may remember you start to walk to some destination, and when you realize the next moment you already arrived, you may watch the sunset, blue sky, the flowers, and the bird, or the deer. I mentioned that too. You may relate to the state of being, no mind. So you're like sucked into the different dimension, and there is peace. When you meditate, focusing on breathing, you may have those moments. It may not last long, but if you can do 5 seconds, that 5 seconds is already no mind, no self. When you're little, playing a toy, maybe when you're old, playing toy, maybe different toy, you may be in the same samadhi state. I hear cricket now. Now it's silent. But just like the frog jump into the pond, in silence there's just the sound, nothing else. When I talk, you may not be thinking actually. I cannot tell. But you may be just listening but focusing on breathing. So there's a sense of, you may call detachment, that you are not into the mind. Mind is there, but empty. Or mind has some thought, but it doesn't affect you. And if there's a big sound, like I said, cats, you may be frightened or you may not be. Joriki. with that steady power of awareness in samadhi, you may be in that eternal home, I call it. And there is that core of our existence, core of our being, like a spring water flowing, that life energy, and you may feel it. Could be a tickling sensation, or just simple air flowing in and out through your nostril. Someone asked, he had the fear of death. How can he deal with it? I pointed out to be in the state of samadhi. In silence, there's no you. I think in that video we listened, used the word I thinking or something like that. Whatever the word, expression, that experience, direct experience of who we are, that's the Bible's expression, or I, which is I am that I am. So the I in our mind melt into the that I am in silence. Advaita means non-duality. It's absolute. It's nature's way. Life and death, everything flows with that nature's way. So you may be like the windchime in the wind. So cultivate Joriki, your eternal home, the access. And you feel comfortable, relaxed. Everything happens as the nature's way. So you don't need to even accept, because you are that being. So there's no paradox. because there's nothing to divide. Being one. It's the sense of oneness like you may be one with the breathing. No mind. Just be. No self. Everything as it is. Life and death is one. Absolute. We just use the word to point that state. But words are not necessary. And you don't fear nothingness because there is no you, no self. And when you open up your eyes and look around, in this nothingness is everything. Because of nothingness, everything exists. I said it's like an ink painting, sumie in Japanese. There's lots of emptiness that bring out the object. So we don't need to close our eyes to meditate. Just like kids, early in their age, looking around, everything is fresh and new. That's the life energy you feel in the state of samadhi, in the state of being. No poverty, no wealth, no good, no bad. Everything as it is, nature's way. You are one with the nature's way, melting into the nature that I talked about. So nothing to say, but if we stay nothing, maybe we stay in the mind. So we may say a few things and be comfortable to be quiet. More time to be quiet in the state of being, in the state of now. Good night.